just wanted to go ahead and make this video to illustrate some of the things that I saw in your shadowboxing video. One of the first things I noticed was that, like I said, you had a pretty good bounce. So when you were moving around, you were pretty good about keeping that nice light-footed thing. So as you move, you want to try and keep this shuffle. And what I mean by that is, you see how far apart my feet are here? You want to keep that constantly. You don't want to ever touch your toes like you're Dorothy trying to go home in The Wizard of Oz, right? You want to keep your feet at an equal distance and have that nice equal boxer shuffle, right? And that way, you're always centered. You always have all of your weight in between your hips, your shoulders over your hips, between your knees, so that when you throw, you have actual power. Because what ends up happening, if you lean forward, if you lean back, you can't generate power from your feet, right? So the fact that you're already kind of there, you're already working on keeping yourself over your hips like that, definitely an A+. But one of the first things I noticed was that as soon as you put your hands up, I saw that you were just a wee bit square. You went in like this, which it's not bad, don't get me wrong, you're not doing a bad stance, but there's a little things that you can improve on it. You see how flared out my elbows are? All that's doing is leaving all this open. And you don't want to get hit here. Because while getting hit in the head, getting knocked out sucks, getting hit in the liver and having to suffer through it sucks a whole lot worse. So, not only will tucking your shoulders in give you better guard to protect your body, it also gives you a better way to protect your head, right? Because your hands are already there. If they're out here, that gets more difficult to do. You're kind of chicken winging things. So you want to have a nice tight guard, and you want to have your elbows tucked in real tight. That way they can block your body shots a little bit, right? Another thing is you are a little bit square. So you actually want to make yourself narrower. You can already see how much less of a target I am just from that. When I'm right here, this entire part of my body is now open to be hit. If I'm back here hiding behind my shoulder and my hand, I've now created two more lines of defense and I've given you a narrower target, right? So that's something you might want to work on. Now I'm not saying that you have to fight completely sideways like a fencer, or you even have to stay like this. Some boxing coaches, they don't like that style. They think it's a little bit too, like graceful, I guess. But some boxers will fight more square. But in general, as you're starting out, you want to have your high, tight guard, elbows tucked in, and have a narrower target to hit. Now, when you get in closer, especially for a guy your size, then yeah, you kind of switch to a square stance so you can hit the body, kind of like what Mike Tyson does, right? So that's not bad. It's just be aware that it has its limitations. It makes you a bigger target. It's a little bit harder to generate, range from. Because I saw you were throwing your jab a decent amount too. Well, check this out. Watch this. I'm going to be square, and you can see I'm square. Look at how far my arm goes out, right? Now, without changing where I am at all, I'm going to show you. Look at how much farther, almost completely off the screen. So the idea is, if you are in the outboxer range, if you are not close enough to start banging with the guy, if you can't just come in, hit him wherever your hands go, then you want to be further with your body to the side so you can kind of get into the jab, right? You can extend out without getting your head caught in the punch, or as little as possible, because I know being shorter makes that hard. I'm about 5'8", 5'9", and I've got short limbs for my height, so I am always fighting taller, longer limbed boxers, and at least in sparring, and that means that I've got to fight my way through their longer reach to get there. So I will start typically with that longer jab, and then work my way in to get underneath them, because I can't hit their head. I can't reach it, right? So that's something you might want to work on, especially given your stature. Whenever you throw, and this is something I even have a problem with, especially because I've got an injury in the shoulder, you always want your hands to come back to base, okay? You never want your hands to go down to your hips. So when you throw that jab, you want it to come straight back to where it started. You don't want it to come down here because now your face is open. You definitely don't want it to come back down here because now your entire body is open. So as you're throwing any punch, especially even when shadow boxing, you want to throw, come back to your face, right? Come back to where they start. They want to come back home. My coach, he has a thing with the right hand especially, keeping it nice and tight here to guard. He calls it being on phone with mom. Because phone goes down, you go down. Because now the side of your face is open. So when you're throwing that jab, make sure your right hand is nice and tight, right? And when you throw that right, make sure your left hand is nice and tight. You don't want to get caught by that hook. Okay. Okay, shoulder slip. Yep, the shoulder slip thing. I saw you starting to incorporate that, but like most people, like we don't really know our bodies as well as we think I do. And so when we think shoulder slip, we think from the shoulders, right? When I think shoulder slip, I want to take my shoulder and swing it around. And you see how slow that is? Even when I have my hands up, that's really slow. And if I try and make it faster, it's really hard. So what you actually want to do is you want to go all the way from your toes. So the shoulder slip like you were doing it, and that feels weird, it probably throws you off balance a little bit, not very good. But what you kind of want to do is as you roll your shoulder, your foot comes with it. Same with your other one. So if I'm trying to slip, 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 right? And that way, as you can see, it's a whole lot more efficient, it's a whole lot faster, and it still gets me out of the way. Because if we were to take the center line, just straight down here, slip, right? Center line, slip. So it's a whole lot faster, slip, slip, underneath, right? And the best way to get good at that is to get like a half a pool noodle and have someone just take it and like swat at your head. Or just to throw a jab out really nice and light so you can practice going slip, 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 right? And the other thing is if you can get a slip rope of any type, I have like a cheap clothesline I bought from Walmart and I just tie it up, is learning to get underneath it. So if there was a line across from this, I'd want to slip, slip, slip. And that will teach you not only to have that weight transfer, but also teaching you how to roll under punches. So that'll definitely help too. Let's see. I forgot to mention this in the chat we were having, but when you throw, you're throwing with a lot of upper arm, like arm tension all the way through. You don't actually want to do that because that's going to make you tired, right? You don't want to have tension all through the arm. Generally, when people throw their punches, their arms are relaxed, and that's how you can see like an actual boxer versus someone who's pretending, is you'll see an actual boxer, they will start off really relaxed, really light, and you can see it almost feels like they're just kind of sloppily flailing their arms. And that's because to some extent they are. They're trying to loosen up. And then you'll see them get suddenly a whole lot faster. And the reason why is because they're waiting to that last second to really drop the hammer. Bam, right? Bam. And that's what gives it that nice little snap, is they're waiting for that last second to really clench. Or some, they'll hold their fist tight, but they won't have tension in the rest of their arm. Like you can see, my forearm suddenly has a whole lot there because I'm gripping so hard, but I can, swing around because all the tension's in my fist, not in the rest of my arm. So when you swing, don't think about having to like force the muscle in there, right? You don't want to just tighten your entire arm when you swing. You want to have it relaxed. And that's what gives boxers speed through their punches. Okay. When you throw your hooks and your uppercuts, you don't want to cock your arm. So when you're throwing that body shot, you don't want to come back and throw it. You don't want to come down and throw it. Making a video for a redditor. Wanted some help. So what you actually want to do with it is you want to move your body to get there, because your hand is just going to kind of stay here or here. It's not really going to move a whole lot. So if I throw a left hook, I'm going to get my shoulder over and throw. My body is going to move through it. Same with the uppercut. With the uppercut, I don't want to bring my hand down, that exposes me, and then try and throw an uppercut. I saw you do it a little better later in the video, but you want to kind of take your body, take your hips with your feet, go underneath, and then come up, right? Go underneath, then come up. You want to use your legs to get there. You don't just want to use your arms through your punches. Let's see. Oh yeah, I think for the most part you got the rest of this. Again, keep your feet apart when you're moving, so that way you're balanced all the time. That way you can't get caught off balance. Keep your hands up. Don't cock your fists, and be a little lighter with your punches. Watch yourself in the mirror, and then watch other better boxers at the gym, more experienced boxers. See what they're doing differently than you, and just experiment a little. It's supposed to be fun, right? Awesome.